Morning. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the May Board of Health meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the agenda in front of us. Any changes or updates to the agenda? All right, I'd like to get a motion to approve the April 10th minutes.
Just the 10th.
Oh, let's do both of them together, the April 10th and the April 27th meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from April 10 and April 27. I'll
second.
second. Oh, Ian's online.
All right.
Great.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, do we have anyone on the line for public comment? All right. Hearing none. We'll move into the fiscal report. Amber,
Morning.
all yours.
Yay. All right. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I'm going to start off with March. We have a reconciled bank balance of 223,000. We're going to take off operating expenses of 382. So we are outside of our reserve requirements by 158,000 right now. In the month of March, we brought in just under 150,000. Salaries were 84,000. Operating expenses were 48,000 for a surplus of 16,000. Fiscal year to date, we have revenue of just under 974,000. That's 13% below budget. Salaries are at 933,000, 2% below budget. And operating expenses are at 289,000, which is 15% above budget. For a year-to-date deficit of 248,000. In accounts receivable, we have 186,000. 44% of that is with the West Virginia Treasury. Any questions for March?
I have none.
All right, then moving on to April, we are 83% through the year. We have a bank balance of 270,000. Take off operating expenses of 385,000. So we are out of compliance with our reserve requirements by 114,000. In the month of April, we have revenue of 208,000. Salaries and wages of 146,000, which I know looks higher, but that May 1st payroll came out in April. So essentially you have 3 payrolls in there. And operating expenses currently at 5,000 for a surplus of 57,000. Fiscal year to date, revenue of 1,182,000, which is 8% below budget. Salaries, 1,079,000, which is 2% above budget. And operating expenses of 294,000, which is 9% above budget for a deficit of 191,000 year to date. Accounts receivable is at 159,000, 37% of which is the West Virginia Treasury. Questions for April?
I do have some questions on the AR. The other receivables at $100,000 now, 84,000 over 360, 14,000. I mean, that's basically all of it is over 181,000. There's only $1,000 under 180. Like if we're billing, you're either billing and collecting immediately or we're not billing. Like what's going on with the AR below 180 days?
I'm sorry, trying to understand the question.
Yeah, so-
Apologize, sorry.
So there's no AR under 180 days.
So, well, it'd be about 180 days would be roughly about when we started doing with, MMSWD.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that has gone through there has been either sent to billing with that, through them,
Mm-hmm.
and we've either collected or have been probably already collected or waiting to be rebuild and.
Yeah, I guess I was just assuming that that would still hit the books when we send it over to MMS. We would, MMS, we would still book it as revenue and accounts receivable. And then we would send it over there. It seems like maybe we're not booking it as an accounts receivable.
I have to double check on that.
Amber, any
Yeah, I don't know.
thoughts on that?
So if it's money we have not received, and then yeah, it should be in accounts receivable. And I wasn't aware we were booking anything differently.
I think
So
we
Where are
were.
you seeing the booking differently? Sorry, because
Yes.
we've got the receivables here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the other receipt. This is all of the
Oh, the-
commercial stuff.
Okay,
So like all the clinical services, as the services are being provided, they should drop into receivables until they're collected.
correct.
And there's nothing there. In the last 90 days, there's $150. And so
Okay.
either we stop doing clinical services almost completely, or we're just not booking that revenue. And that's a revenue miss, right? So that there's revenue that we're not accounting for, and there's AR that we're not. It's almost like
I was
we-
not aware that we would be doing anything different when we did it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Or are we just not providing the services?
Well, we're providing services, we haven't stopped services.
are we receiving more payments now rather than billing it later?
Well, I mean, that's what, so our little, add-on from MS. That's kind of what we're looking at here, like, our encounters and everything else. I don't know.
yeah, I'm like wondering where we're even booking the payment, like we
Yeah.
gotta. You know, when MMS gives us the money, where are we putting that? We have to be applying it somewhere.
Yeah,
It should be being applied to AR.
it should be.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just. it
Yeah,
just
but
popped-
if we're receiving the money when we're billing it, there's not going to be anything in AR left. If
And
that
that'll
makes
go to
sense.
revenue.
Yeah. So you'd book a revenue in AR, but then you're booking an AR and deposit at the same time, or undeposited funds.
I mean, I
you've
think that's
received it.
one, I think that's one way to do it, but I mean, we should be booking the revenue in the month we provided the service.
Yeah, which as far as I can tell is still happening.
Okay? I'll take
So
your word
I'm
for it. That's-
looking, if you look at March versus
Yeah, that's a good one.
April, the undeposited funds, which is money that we have received but not recorded in the books, has actually grown quite a bit. Now I do realize that part of that is Wendy is still recording April deposits, but there could be a possibility of we've received the money, we just haven't, deposited the money yet. But if we've received money, that means the revenue's already been booked.
Okay, it's just strange to not see any new AR in commercial. Okay. Maybe that's, maybe an offline discussion.
Yeah.
Because it's still not
I see what you're saying.
making sense. I mean, if we're waiting to get the check from MMS
Yeah,
to post it,
yeah,
that could be 3 months after we provided the service,
correct,
right?
correct.
And then we don't have a really good visibility in what our AR is because we're not booking it until we get paid.
Correct.
And that we don't want to book it that way. But that's just the way it looks from my vantage.
Yeah, I see what you're seeing on that one, so.
Yeah,
maybe
so in my mind, we do the service, we put the charges
Yeah.
into QuickBooks, which creates revenue in AR. We
Correct.
send it to MMS,
Once we receive
the
that.
payment, then we apply it to the AR, and that's not what I'm seeing here.
Correct.
Okay, I'll let you run with that.
We'll work with it. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Any other questions or thoughts on the March or April finances? Oh, one last question, the write-offs.
So actually, Thank you.
You're welcome.
So actually next Friday, morning, Amber, is going to meet with us and because there's a change in how we're going to have to write them off, especially with that large, there's actually going to be a few of us that are going to meet and learn how to write them off correctly, and get it all done because, it's, well, there are some bigger ones, $100, $200 ones here and there. There's a lot of 10, 20, $30 ones as well that eat up into that. So it's going to take a group effort to do it. And so Amber's going to meet with us and a few of us to teach all of us how to do it.
Okay,
And with the change from last time we did that, we were also on QuickBooks, desktop. So a little change.
okay,
So
all right. So the goal is to have those written off in May.
absolutely, we should have it done. We learn next week. So for the next one.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, can I get a motion to approve the March finances?
I'll make a motion to approve the March finances. I'm second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Morning, Dan.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right. Moving on to unfinished business,
Quick question, do you
Yeah.
guys still want me to stay for the budget talks?
I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're okay.
Okay, all right, then I will see you guys next time.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to public statements policy.
Yeah, so it was kind of the unfinished portion. We had the wording that got put out last month. There was some time to look at it. Think about changes, additions, etc. So that's where we're at. with this one.
It is at the back of the packet.
It is, it's near the end. So what was prior to that was also kind of the updated from MSOB. They provided us a little update from that, so I show you how that's been going. Kind of go with our financials. Throw that one in there with it. Oddly enough for timing on that one with adding that one into it. But it's, yeah. So I don't know where we want to go with.
Is the question, do you want us to address the billing company's information first?
We don't have, I threw that in there for us, for you all to see as additional information for the board, that's all.
Okay, well, it's on the public statement policy. I mean, if there's no discussion, I'd like to call for a motion to approve this. Does anyone have any changes, recommended changes to the verbiage as written? All right, hearing none, I'd like to call for a motion to approve this bylaw on public communications.
Make the motion to approve bylaw on communications. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Rate increase update.
And also, sorry,
Oh,
if I
sorry.
may make a note, just make sure that the bylaws change get sent into the clerk's office.
Okay.
All of those changes, I think that was some of the issues with some of the previous, when we had passed some of this type of stuff. It wasn't reflected
Absolutely.
in the bylaws, and so this really, it needs to be reported. Any changes to the bylaws need to be reported with.
Absolutely. I'll put the bylaws into the.
You just update the bylaws
Yep.
and then send it over
There
to
you
the
go.
clerk's office.
And I think I need to sign.
I think you
if
do
remember
too, yeah.
Correctly, I'll need to sign the update.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rate increase update, so, as it stands now, we are just waiting for the May 21st, meeting for the joint, Jefferson County Commission, for them to approve it. With that, the plan of action moving forward is the second that date happens. All the invoices are being
Pre-written, pre-prepared.
pre-prepared, thank you. It's a Friday morning, I don't know why my brain is not functioning, only partially done. Pre-prepared, the second that, we get through that, they will be sent out. We have asked for a, special meeting, unfortunately, that was not approved. So we have to wait till the 21st.
I did wanna bring up the fact that we have the explanation of the fee change, why it's happening. But I wanted to propose the idea of sending out communications to our clients about the timeline, because we are getting checks sent in the mail already based on previous invoice amounts. And we're having a lot of ongoing communications with people calling, like asking, where's our bill? So, unfortunately, I didn't prepare anything, but essentially just like a email, I think, would suffice to our clients, kind of explaining, expect that you will receive your invoice by May 21st or around May 21st. And, that maybe attach the new fee schedule and say, pending approval, this is what you can find your new fee here. That way we're not, leaving the community kind of hanging, like wondering, where's my bill? Did they forget about us or anything like that? So I wanted to bring that up to you guys before I sent it out.
Do you have the capacity to email that many out? Like, is there, like a, is that gonna be a manual process too? That's
They're
probably,
in the midst of working on that one.
We have
Stuff.
put another person onto our team to collect all the emails. They're currently in physical form. But she's about halfway through, I think, creating a spreadsheet of all of the up-to-date contact information. So we should be able to do that, I think, in the next few days, I'm hoping, with the additional help.
In addition, I think also allowing a grace period longer.
Right, yes, is that something that you wanted me to include when we send the bill? Is that we were, originally, the deadline would have been July 1st, but we have the capability to extend that out. I think August 1st would be an appropriate amount of time to give them. And it would also help our staff as well. So I mean, as long as you guys are okay with that, I can include that date in the communications that we sent out.
sounds good. Yeah, I'm glad we can do that. I would kind of reference in the email, the public comment period, that this rate increase went up for public comment and, just kind of walk through the whole process transparently. That,
Sure.
Shouldn't be a surprise. We did publicly, but it will be a surprise to some.
And when we have one draft, I'll send you a draft over. Yes, for reviews.
You can stay pretty consistent probably with what we did in the sort of intro letter,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
aligned with that, so
Yeah.
everything stays consistent.
Absolutely. No problem.
All right. Great. All right, new business, home loan evaluation.
okay, so
Alexa promised 20 minutes for this.
I'll try. I attached, the questions that were sent my way by Commissioner Keys. We've had two instances of, community members that going through the application for their building permit through the Office of Planning and Zoning, have become confused as to the origination of the requirement to go through the health department first. So what's going on is, if I want to apply for a building permit, I'm going to the Office of Building. I get this application filled out, and then the exact wording that I wanted to share with you guys under number 5 and 6 is that I need to provide a well permit with either a well completion report, a letter from a well driller stating that the well is drilled, or if it's an existing well, current county health department satisfactory inspection report. And it's the same for the sewer system. If you're adding an additional bedroom, verification is required from the health department that the existing septic system is adequate. And if an existing septic system, please provide the current health department satisfactory inspection report. So they're going to apply, and then they're coming to our office asking for this inspection report. the method that the health department is required to follow, is pretty lengthy. So it involves bacteria testing of your well, a dye test, potentially, hiring a certified installer to look at the system if we don't have records on it, just to determine that it's up to compliance. The purpose of the inspection is that we're trying to determine, is your well clean water and is your septic compliant with current code? We often don't know what they're applying for at the building office. We just know they're being sent to us, so we perform the service regardless of who is applying or what they're applying for. So we apply the requirements the same way. Like, and it's not dependent on what you're doing with your property, because a lot of times we don't know. So the issue being is that the health department, from a legal standpoint, cannot require an evaluation of your property. So historically, the health department had an agreement with planning and zoning and requested that they add this language to their permitting process to ensure that county residents are not able to get a building permit that would put them out of compliance with state code, essentially. So that's kind of the mindset for why this exists. But currently there's no written explanation for it or detailed, how this process works, what to expect when you're coming to the health department, the timeline, all of those things. So oftentimes county residents feel sort of blindsided by the length of the process. They don't need to have a pending building application to start the process. So, you could go ahead and start, get your evaluation way before you apply for your permit and have everything together. So I think that the reason I wanted to bring this up to you guys is that I think that it would be helpful to provide a written statement from the Board of Health that either continues this recommendation to planning and zoning that you should, require this, and here's why, here's the public health reasoning why, or either just, put out some basic information for the community of what to expect if you are applying for this.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, this is something that's been required by our county planning and zoning, but is not in state building code?
Correct. To my understanding.
If I could jump in, because I got in the email chain. And
Yes.
we changed your email, so I don't know who I responded to or not. So I don't want to speak to any specific applicants because I don't know anything about the
Right.
applicants. But as far as my understanding, because I'm doing this working for the planning zoning, I touch base with them, is the only time, because the hypothetical you have is somebody wants to put a garage up and they've got to come here and do something. If that happened, which I don't know, nobody seems to know, that is not the application that's going on. If you want to build a new house, so there's nothing there, just a lot. The county requires you to show that you have a way to get water and sewer, whether it's through a sewer or whatever, or whether it's through a well and a septic. If you want to put a garage on that doesn't implicate that, we don't care. It's only if it implicates water and sewer. So if you have like a 1-bedroom house and, my understanding is, and you're the expert on this, you get a septic permit for a certain amount of like usage. So if you have a cabin and you have a little one, then we could say, okay, you got to demonstrate that you've got sufficient septic capacity, and then they might have to do something. But there's no, if somebody had to get it for a garage, they should just gone back and talked to Becky or somebody and said, hey, I'm not building anything that requires that.
Yeah.
I don't have to do this. And there's some other things in the emails that talked about like, okay, my bank loan wants proof that I have well and septic. We don't care about that. And I don't know whether I think the health department should care about that, because they're private way. If a bank wants it, there's private inspectors, there's private people that can go out and do that inspection for them. And then only if that inspection comes back and says, whoa, your yard is bubbling up with septic and whatever, then they have to come out and do whatever you need them to do to get a compliant system. But there's not, we don't have any ongoing, you sell your house, the buyer might wanna do whatever they wanna do. All that we'll do is, part of the planning zoning will come in and say, did they have a building permit when they built it? And did they have a well and septic or some other thing at the time they built it? And as long as they haven't changed anything, it just goes on forever unless there's some red flag that comes up to trigger you guys, you know, some contamination or something like this. So there's no, if somebody said, oh, I can't build my garage because they don't have well and septic, that doesn't seem like a scenario to happen. But the only exception to that would be is sometimes people will come in and they'll want to, somebody come in and buy the house and they'll say, hey, we're buying this house, we want to see the permits. They say, you know, they built that house without a permit. Then you have to pretend, then it's all, you go way back to the beginning, but that's getting rarer and rarer and rarer because, you know, that old houses that existed before 1970 are smaller and smaller. But sometimes people will get jammed up like that, because they'll have bills, like put extra bedrooms on and not got a permit.
Yeah.
And then they're something, well, they have to come out and do some actual proof, because we're not gonna approve them putting the addition on it. We can, if you didn't have a permit, here's the catch-22. If you didn't have a permit, you built 25 years ago, you're not grandfathered in on the well and septic requirements of 25 years ago. You have to meet the new requirements, which could make your house, you know, your lot might be too small, there might, because we have septic reserves and all these things that we didn't have. But if you have a house from 1980 and you met whatever those rules are, you're grandfathered in, we don't care. So I don't know whether it's really that big an issue as far as just like with all the loan, I mean, people refinance and buy and sell all the time. You can't be inspecting every house every time you get a loan. You have to have
No.
a staff of 50.
We really don't do, that's the original intention of what the H-12 procedure was put into place for, was for home loan evaluations. And it's currently the only existing procedure that health departments have to evaluate a private septic system outside of the permitting.
Right. Specs, your regulations.
Right,
What I'm saying is, just because someone wants a home loan, their bank wants a home loan evaluation, there's other ways to do it than you. There's private inspectors and engineers that can do. And I think that a lot of these people that have these questions are, say, out-of-state banks, and in California, they have some process, so they put that in their form that and so they want something that would match what California regulations have, and they could very well have some giant staff that inspects everything all the time, but we don't have that.
So I have a question though, like, so I wanna use your garage example, so somebody wants to put a garage in, but I know we've had conversations about this many months ago, about the fact that people, especially people that are not familiar with living with wells and septic, is that they go and put a structure on a drain field or on top of, and they don't know, because all they're doing is pouring
And
this.
that's what the staff does look at. If somebody comes in to get a building
So
permit,
planning and zoning looks at.
they
that,
look
so
at
that
that, they say, oh, you can't build your septic reserves.
I was thinking the same exact
And
thing.
you can't, you know, there's,
well, a lot of times they will send that person to us to evaluate their property, to give that permission to planning and zoning for them to make that decision on if they'll issue that permit. So that was the reasoning for that specific example of the emails, is because they do not make that determination whether or not the building location is compliant with septic requirements. They ask us to make that and then provide that finding.
I think it probably depends on how old it is, because on the newer plats, they required to lay out the septic and the septic reserve, but they historically didn't have to do that. So
Yeah.
so
Not every parcel is platted. If they're not part of a subdivision, either through the county or through the health department, then it would have just been through our health department records that we have the layout of the well and septic, and sometimes we don't have the layout at all. So it requires additional steps to verify where their drain field is before they can build. So anyway, but it's a lengthy process at times. But to your point, and I think it's good to include this in the discussion, this evaluation that we offer to the county residents is not required, and it's not exclusive that the evaluation be done through the health department. But by law, But the county application has language that requests that it be done through the health department. So we are being sort of enlisted.
And maybe we need to, other, I'll talk to
Sure.
Roger,
What
what,
are we trying to solve here?
So
Let's get back to
Let-
the. sort of
if we go to
something lost in
the
this.
second
Yeah.
document I gave you, there's a list of questions that were provided to me by Commissioner Keys that is asking for clarification about this process. The reason that building requested and included that language about the health department specifically being the one to conduct the investigation is because previously, the previous sanitarian, very, very previous sanitarian, requested that building and zoning add that language in. So,
So this was a health department
Yeah.
led initiative
Yes.
15+ years
Yes.
ago. That's been running kind of automated, just on autopilot.
exactly,
And now
So-
there's, the community is kind of, hey, help me understand this.
Yeah.
And we
So-
want to make sure we're clear.
So I have a thought about this. Just because somebody did this 15 years ago, this seems like an issue for the county commission. I mean, it seems like the county commission needs to take it up, needs to be made public. There needs to be a discussion about it. And then that solves the problem. I mean, I'm really uncomfortable that we're doing something that started 15 years ago, kind of off the books. If this is something that, if it needs to be changed in ordinance, then let's let the county commission take this up and have a public hearing, and then everybody knows what the deal is. It's pretty simple.
I think it is, it's not like somebody made it up, it's in the adopted regulations, planning thing. I'm looking down at the bottom of this permit here, this is only a permit for single family home duplex homes.
yes.
So if somebody got the wrong application and was handed the wrong, this is not the application for building a garage, it wouldn't have 5 and 6 on it.
Mhm.
So maybe somebody just got the wrong form or found this form online and thought it was doing something.
This is actually a different client. The application relates to the client that requested commission involvement. So I'm just going off of
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I don't know.
This is separate from the garage, and that was a different scenario.
Could very well be.
I guess my point is, if it's important to the county, it needs to be, it needs to be an ordinance. It needs to be an ordinance, or it needs to be something that everybody can see. I mean,
Yes.
right? And it's like, and that's something the county commission's going to have to take up.
And
I mean, we
it
can
is
have,
required-
I guess, have input to it, but I can't see how we can resolve this here. I mean, right? It seems to
I
be
think
there's
Steve
a
is-
lot of
I think-
confusion.
I think Steve is saying it is an ordinance. But I guess I'm going back to what is it that we're trying to solve is the request because they want to get rid of it? Like, is that the goal, is to get rid of the ordinance
I
that
don't know.
requires the health inspections?
Well, hey,
If all-
Karen, I guess the threshold question is there an ordinance? Because
That's what Steve said.
Yeah.
It is.
oh, okay, well,
Can we
okay,
get a
well,
copy of that?
yeah, that would,
Just
because
to
it's,
look at the wording.
And the. How can I say this, the CFR is required that all new construction have a well and demonstrate this, I mean, state law that it's required. That, I don't know about historically why. It's, like a lot of things, I think. We gotta check our boxes, and checking our boxes requires proof from you and proof from the DOH and these kind of things, we make the applicants collect you and your entrance permit and what, all these other things. So I just don't want to, I took it through some of these emails that the one thing I think we were required to do and want to get into is doing all this stuff you're talking about merely for a refinancing application or something. If they want you to prove you have well septic, they go down to the planning and zoning and get a copy of their building permit, copy of their approval, which will have all this stuff in it historically, and that should be enough. If these banks want to have a live test, which isn't required by law, then they can get that done privately. And
So
I,
this is not for the banks. We're talking specifically about the county planning and zoning office utilizing our process of evaluating, which is called a home loan evaluation, because originally it was for the banks. But we're talking about the county utilizing the home loan evaluation process to make their determinations on issuing building permits.
And, okay, maybe I'm going back, if they want to build, they gotta show well and septic, and that's what even your regulations.
So
require,
that,
right?
that's the point. They do not accept a permit from us. They want an inspection and a letter of approval from us.
And maybe we'll talk over off the record, because I don't,
I mean, I'm
Right.
reading directly from the application. It says an inspection from the health department, satisfactory inspection report.
and maybe we just have to revise this language to clear what they want. My understanding is, I come out to get a well permit. Part of that well permit is a inspection to give me the well permit.
Correct.
So
But
the well
the
permit is all.
county
state.
is, so I have a client that has come to me with questions as to, why do I need to get an inspection from the health department when I have a permit from you and a well completion report that explains the exact specifications of how this well was drilled, and it was drilled within the last year. But building would not accept that. Building would say we want a satisfactory inspection of that well.
Sounds like probably ought to get, sit down and talk, be fact specific, because I know there's a lifespan on your well permits and your septic permits. You can't get one and keep it for 20 years. You have to
Right,
build
the
it.
easement itself expires,
Right.
but the well completion report shows that that well was completed and inspected by a well driller, and it includes the specifications.
And I think if their permit is expired, we're gonna require whatever, those to keep it current. Because it's not.
Well, I mean, it was already drilled. So like, there's no need to get a permit.
Okay,
for a well that was
so
already
so
drilled.
I think we're just getting fact specific, go dig
Yeah.
down there, because I don't think. There could be times that the county requires that to do construction. But I don't think it requires if you. You buy your lot, you build your wells, you fill it well and septic. And then you gotta get your building permit.
Yes,
As long as it's current, it hasn't expired, I think that's sufficient. That's my understanding of what they do. They don't require you to go inspect something you just
Yeah.
built yesterday again.
correct.
So,
That
I
is the
mean-
issue we're encountering.
Right, and that was sort of, that's why I tried to loop around to find out what I understood as a fact. So I just go down talking. We would come back and come next month and say if there's an issue or not.
So
And I
I,
think for the board, just to kind of rein this back, and I think for the board, well, at least my perspective here is that the board made a determination 15 years ago that got put into ordinance that the zoning commission is following. And for me is, do we still think that that's necessary and appropriate? Because if so, it's less of a, we need to change something and more of a, we need to make sure our communication is clear from the zoning and health department to the community.
right,
This is our rationale. This is what we believe needs to be done. We're not changing our
I
process.
think it's required by state code, so it sounds like the issue, we'll have to see is. There might be some. Dissonance between what we're actually requiring and what people somehow are believing that's required.
But also for point of clarification, this body does not have ordinance making ability. That ordinance would have been done by the county
Right.
commission.
Back
And so back then, and so this is the implementation of helping complete or satisfy that ordinance in the building and zoning or planning and zoning process. So we did not create an ordinance. This was just a structure that was created to comply with said or create a path of compliance for that ordinance. So like, I think even like the answer based on this conversation, you have like the answer to number one is probably not correct because
Right.
no existing written ordinances, but Steve says that there is. So I think we need to have, like, first of all, back to Dan's point, it's probably not our decision to make. This is the decision for the county to make.
And don't want to get sideways on either. The county can say, we want a well permit. But we can't tell you what that well permit, your regulations tell you what a
Right,
well's gotta be
exactly.
done. So we're not trying to like force down, we want a special well, we want whatever, I mean.
Yeah, no.
We don't, that, you have your bailiwick, they have their bailiwick, they want to just check the box. You say they met whatever,
yes.
they don't, you guys are the specialists in that. So I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's. Whatever this specific thing is, it sounds like we're just not.
Yeah, like
Me-
even the question number 3 is like What's the public health justification of requiring bacteria testing at the source? Like that, well, it's obviously like.
That's state law, whatever.
Yeah, like it is also, yeah, it doesn't matter what comes out of the faucet, like, yeah, the source, especially if somebody's buying a new property or.
And
Whatever,
we're not in the business
it's
of,
kind of
and
silly
the county's
question.
not in the business of. Randomly going around and just randomly inspecting everything, the whole county, we don't have the resources for that, and it would make, problem on title for everybody trying to sell their house, oh my god, you have to be. 10 years ago, you built a house totally up to code, it's not gonna be up to code today, because the codes are always changing, and to try to jam that down would be a nightmare. But the only thing I can say where somebody might get jammed up and feel is if somehow they bought a house that never had permits.
Right.
That causes giant headaches, and I don't know anything about this one, but that's a giant headache, because suddenly your house, you technically can't live in it without a building permit. And you can't get the building permit without showing well something, so it could be a giant nightmare, and that's a due diligence kind of thing, I think, when you buy your house, say, because you can go down and say, this house on this street, did it have a building permit, and they can look up for it. That's public record, so I don't know what their situation is, and, it sounds like in my experience, the staff down there is usually pretty helpful. So I mean, maybe they got a question and didn't. I don't know what it is, but I think we can work through this as come back and see, but I don't.
And where did the questions come from? Did they come from staff?
These questions,
Yeah.
yeah, this is from Commissioner Keys.
So what I would propose, because I'm uncomfortable. I mean, I always start with what's the law, what's the ordinance, and I'm hearing two different things. And so I think we need to go back and understand what the ordinance actually says before we can really do anything. I mean,
Agreed.
And I
right?
don't know that we send any responses in until you guys sort it out, because.
Right.
Some of this is not our purview. They should go to their own staff and look at their own ordinances. It's not for us to interpret the ordinance.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that the planning commission, who typically knows everything about everything. And when I say the planning commission, I include the professional staff,
Mhm.
which is top notch.
Mhm.
So the fact that Commissioner Keys crafted a bunch of questions, it must have come up in one of their meetings or deliberations, I'm guessing, because I was on the planning commission for 8 years. What a headache that was. I'm glad I'm not there anymore. But the point is the key thing is they ask these questions. What I would recommend that we do at this point is make sure that the responses we give are as accurate as possible and let the planning commission deal with it, which they typically do very well. And if it needs to be bumped up to the county commission, it will, because we have a process, but we typically don't sit around and write stuff and tell the planning commission what to do.
But I also,
Ask them what their recommendations, we review it, we hold public hearings at that point, but we usually don't initiate the stuff. So the response to these questions is the key glue on getting this solved.
but some
So
of
this is very,
yeah.
very preliminary, just for discussion purposes.
Looks like a good first
These
slate.
are definitely not my.
But it's in areas that are not our responsibility, we don't answer it because we simply follow our regs.
Right, that's what that was my kind of big. Planning commission doesn't tell you how to do you have your bailiwick, they have their bailiwick, and if there's some disconnect, straighten out, but I don't think there really is.
The
but-
issue that I had is I was asked by the planning commission to put our previous recommendation into writing for them to make it easier for the community to understand the reasoning for this requirement. So because what the communication coming from their office is that is being reported to me by clients is that they are telling people this is the health department's requirement. But we do not have a legal ability to impose this requirement onto the community.
And
So I want to make it clear that if the health department is involved in any way, that it be done so in writing through a recommendation through the Board of Health if they so chose. But otherwise, that it be made clear that this is a local ordinance done through the county commission and enforced by the planning and zoning county office,
And we
not
just
the
simply
health department.
facilitate compliance,
Right.
period.
According to our regs.
Yes.
Correct.
So the trigger we have from a public health standpoint that gives us authority to re-inspect someone's septic system is when there's a complaint, is that correct?
Yes,
Otherwise, we do not have any authority.
only by
Correct.
request, only by
Request
voluntary
or
request.
complaint.
Yes,
And so this adds another trigger that would bring forth an unsolicited request.
well, I mean, the resident is requesting it. The
No, no, I
county,
mean, this ordinance or whatever is requiring us to inspect their system under these building circumstances. We're not talking about adding bathrooms or bedrooms and things like that. We're just talking about.
But the direction is derived from an ordinance, not
But,
Because we feel like it.
the only time this form kicks in is if you're trying to build,
something new.
so that's why I think there must be some disconnect between what was going
It
on.
seems like we gotta do a lot more digging before
Yeah.
Board of Health can.
It's not just randomly saying, hey, inspect your house, you know, and unless you,
well, the thing is, we have a lot of building going on
Right.
in the county right now, so we're seeing upwards of 10 building applicants a month in our office that are trying to get their building permit and are then being asked before they can apply there to go to the health department, and then our process is a process, right? So they're not anticipating it taking 3 to 4 additional months to get their permit. So I'm just trying to get this information out there.
By the way, you've done the right thing. So first of all, don't mistake the dialogue for
No,
anything other than that. It just seems like some of the questions don't quite relate
Yeah,
to that,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm like, why are
Right,
we
yeah,
questioning, why are we questioning bacterial testing? Like, that's not, that's, you know.
whatever it is, it is.
Right.
Right,
It's what it is,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah. we just follow this.
right,
link.
suppose somebody hooks up not to a well, but to public water, just.
Yeah.
That's all we care about. You inspect the water system to make sure something's wrong with it, but they can show they have water and sewer permit. Then this is complete, they can move on to do what they wanna do, you know,
Yeah,
but if they wanna build a house and it takes a while to build a well and you gotta inspect it. That's just how long,
That's
you know,
the
that's how long it
process.
takes. Yeah, I don't understand that, you know, that they could be frustrated with the delay, but. You know, you gotta schedule a well guy, you gotta get a septic guy out there, they've got lists, and you've gotta get out and do what you got, I mean, it's not like. It happens in one day, and I think we. Step back a little bit, in my experience, I always tell anybody who's doing any construction project. Double whatever time you think it's gonna take, and then you might not be as unhappy as you would be otherwise, but you know, there's always. If it goes that smoothly, you're just super lucky.
I mean, it almost seems like this all could just be, somebody said the health department requires it versus local ordinance requires it. I mean, it seems like all of this could
Yeah, I think
be
it's just
something like that.
like
And I
some sort
think,
of
you know, I just
communication.
wanna,
Yeah, just sort of, somebody told this, and then they told the builder this. and they heard-
I need to see what.
so
the
let's,
ordinance
where's
says.
the ordinance, we're gonna clean up our responses back to
Yeah.
Commissioner Key, let her know that we're working on it. And then reconvene next month?
Yeah.
All right.
It sounds like Steve has the ordinance.
So you can,
You
Yeah,
guys
we can-
work
we can
together.
Coordinate, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a little bit, I think, yeah, it's good, perfect, and I'll talk to you or whoever does the agenda if we need to come back, or it could just be like an easy informational report. But I don't see a controversy at this point, you know, it's just a-
and it sounds like the health department stands by, like, this makes sense.
Yes.
It's just we need clarity on what's the driving force for it. And if it's local ordinance and it's
Right.
local ordinance, and then we're done, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Anything else before we move on? All right. I'd like to open up executive session to discuss personnel issues. So if you could,
Motion.
a motion, can I get a motion? Session.
Motion to go to executive session. Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
I,
All right, if we could stop recording. And I think Sean, is it Sean? Here's, Steve, well, we're going to executive session. Waiting room, okay. All right. And then, but it will.
Don't forget, let's.
All right,
Sign off.
okay, well, then we're moving on without him. All right, so budget discussion, we're going to punt that, do some
Yes.
review of the numbers.
And find out for date on statically.
And if we need to call a special session,
We will.
and it'll be a quick one, and if
Correct.
not, we'll vote on it in the June
So,
Board of Health meeting.
Yep.
All right, let's move into agency activity report, environmental health.
So for some reason, this well and septic information request number keeps escaping me every month. This month it was 44 requests for well and septic records. We were above average on our inspection totals. I have been pretty much in the field every day. I've been taking on full sanitarian responsibilities to keep us on task. Complaints, thankfully, was much lower. We only had 3 facility complaints and then 3 well and septic complaints. I also wanted to note, I added a new category for tracking. This is new facilities because we are getting a lot of plan review applications, and we're doing a lot of new opening inspections in the county. So I thought it'd be interesting to see growth in real time. And then I'll start collecting a 12-month average. So for this previous month, we had 10 applications for new facilities, and then we opened 9 new facilities from applications from the previous. We are approaching pool season and mobile food season. So I've expedited that process by sending out book me links to allow residents to be able to just book with us directly whenever their facility is ready for inspection. This has worked out really well. The staff really likes it. It goes directly to their calendar invite. I love it. It saves a lot of time having to call back and forth and communicate when the opening inspection is. I think the digital communication was really helpful. I got a lot of responses that said they liked it, so I'm definitely going to keep doing it that way in the future. But we've already started inspecting pools. Our goal obviously is to try to have them open by Memorial Day. Every pool wants their pool open by Memorial Day weekend. So I sent it out in the middle of April. I said, book your appointment now. We got about 5, I think, done. We have about 20 or so pools to inspect. So mobile food units were our lowest compliance item when I ran an analysis on the environmental health side to see what we need to focus on. And that's mainly because they're hard to catch. They operate on event schedules. Some of them don't even operate in our county. So I asked everybody with a mobile food unit if they could bring their unit to the health department to get an inspection for this year. And then if they're unable, then we'll try to look at what events they're attending and go out and inspect them if we see them. And then everybody else, if they're not operating in our county, we're just going to document that they are not operating this calendar year so that we have something on our books for the state to review when they do their annual audits. Other than that, do you want me to talk about the environmental side of the audit, or do you want to talk about that in your report?
I was just gonna go kind of all over the place with you on it, but if you wanna go through it, by all means, please.
Okay, I'll speak to my section. We had our state evaluation of the environmental health side, and it went pretty well. The deficiencies noted were what we anticipated to be noted. The food inspections and childcare inspections were not meeting the frequency that we need to meet. But I am happy to report that this calendar year, we are about 50 or so inspections ahead of where we were this time last year. So we're about a full month and a half further than we were last year. So by my calculations, it's possible that we could actually meet our target this year. So we'll see. We'll see. It's too soon to tell, but it's looking pretty good. I'm really, really happy with these numbers that we pulled in. Staff's working really hard. As far as invoices, Krista's doing an amazing job preparing all of our invoices for our facilities to be sent on May 21st or around May 21st. And we're updating our records digitally to make it a much more efficient process for next year. And she's about halfway done with this. So, yes. Other than that, I did attend the April Water Advisory Council meeting. And we received about 12 questions, technical questions from the county commission about mainly about water studies. They're looking into conducting a water study, I believe. And so we split that up. We created a timeline to address these questions. So the upcoming May meeting, we're actually going to be listening to a guest technical speaker to give us some insight to our understanding of these questions. And then we'll actually start to prepare a response at the June meeting.
So what define water study? Is it water study for the purpose of what infrastructure do we need to have? Maybe potentially for public water? Is it water study to test water? Is it water study because of like some of the whatever project is out in Middleway? What define water study?
They are interested in water conservancy, mainly because we went through a drought and primarily this would be the individuals that are on private water, well water, because they experienced a lot of drought in the past 2 summers. So they're interested in looking at the water tables themselves to basically figure out the amount of water that Jefferson would have. And is it sufficient? Is it safe? You know, are there pollutants, things like that? There's a lot of different ways you can do the water study. So we haven't dug into that yet, but I think the main concern is, do we have enough water for the community? But we'll get into the technical parts closer to June.
It seems to be the number one concern that I hear about all the time. Lack of a comprehensive water study.
Yeah.
Is a crutch for some people. And I would like it resolved. That's where I'm pushing from as a county commissioner, is to get a water study so we can say, yeah, we can do these things, or no, we can't.
Yeah, I think.
But we shouldn't be having individuals out there making posts on Facebook declaring, water shortages without any backup.
I think, yeah, the big issue right now that's topical is the proposed site builds for the data centers that are either in or adjacent to the county. I did want to make it clear the questions that were posed to the water board do not address data center building directly. So I will not be a part of conversations that handle that issue. But some of the information that we are providing to the county will be used for their decision making on the issues regarding data centers.
Just a personal point of observation is that I still think, like, from an infrastructure standpoint, long-term, you plan for infrastructure in 20-year increments, is that just like we've had on the conversations with sewers and sort of that transition from septic, areas of septic service to sewer service, I think we also have to start looking at what is the infrastructure need and what is the possibility of delivery of public water service. It's like, do our utilities provide public water, or is it just public sewer? I don't think anybody
So
runs city
American Water
water.
does not provide sewer. Most part, they're providing water, whereas CTUB does both.
Does both. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
we do have a member on our board from CETA
right.
to address that.
But I think from a county, so I'm actually more saying this to Jack of like, we need as a county start to look at again. The potential of moving to a public system and how far does that reach and how, what are the costs associated and so forth, because. Regardless of whether you like it or not, people are moving out here. Development will continue, whether it's slow or fast, it's still gonna develop. And with the lessening ability for us to have the reserve space for septics, we have to start looking at that 20-year timeline. So you can't build infrastructure.
Yeah.
In a matter of a year.
It's a mess.
I know, but it's your problem, it's your mess to solve, and help find solutions, that's what you're paying to do.
That's
You are one of the audience.
Yeah, you want the dog.
Plenty of self-appointed experts. I'm trying to focus on the people who really know what they're doing. It's not easy to do because there's so much clamor.
So that's that. And then the only other update I have was we're working on advertising for sanitarian positions.
The positions are open. Excellent, so wait till you hear back from the state on that. On the clinical side, pretty much on par, family planning, actually had one, cervical, breast and cervical screening patient. A little bit down for our STI patient encounters. Vaccines, however, did kind of go up a little bit this month, from last year, or from last month. Childhood, vaccines for the last year, or last month, keep saying year. Animal bites are pretty much on par as well, thankfully still 0 cases.
I do not have much to report. The Ops and I spent much of yesterday with me talking about different programs and she did go out with the nurses, vaccination event at Head Start. We gave just shy of 20 vaccines. That's an ongoing every time they get it, students there. So small pieces. As he mentioned, our vaccine numbers, our immunization numbers the last 2 months are at just above where they were last year, which was quite low. And then there is upcoming during the high school physicals for sports that they have early in June. We've been invited to give some of the vaccines to some of the high schoolers who need like their meningococcal vaccines, and so they're working on doing that 2 evenings next month. And that could be an advantage because it could be more efficient than them all getting in the second week of August here, which typically happens. But why is no new events?
Thank you.
And then, so just, LHA meeting, first Thursday of the month, so had that, yesterday. They did talk about the evals, so far 15 counties have had their evals, we are one of them. Now, one of the common, main deficiencies were on the EH side throughout 15, with, inspection and follow-up timeframes, not uncommon. It's out of the 48 health departments, for all 48 are probably gonna have those. So that's nothing crazy. I think we really did a great job. And I think our eval is not going to be like it was last year. I think it's going to be better off than last year. Another aspect that they focused on with them was animal encounters not being done timely, which we do not have that problem. That's actually one of the so Jim has been doing a really great job in getting those done as well. So which is awesome. So yeah, I think speaking of the evals, she was very impressed, I think, last Thursday was done with our on our clinical side especially, with having, all the, procedures and protocols and everything else in there. And our annual lights being done timely. So big shout out to Jenna, Dr. Reedy. Also a big shout out to Alexis and the sanitarian crew and Krista and Christina coming in with, the last minute. Hey, we want to look at this, site thing, place here and going grabbing stuff. So, everybody did a great job for it. I think it turned out really well. We should find out all our results, said 15 business days. So what, 10-ish business days?
Sometime next week, we should
Yeah.
get a letter.
So find
That's
out.
pretty
And
expedient.
like last year, we then will have,
We'll
I
see.
think, 2 weeks to respond with our action plan.
Yeah.
That the board chair left to sign.
And it will not affect this year, upcoming year's fiscal,
2028.
but correct.
2028 fiscal year funding is how it will, if it doesn't make any effect, that's when it does. Anecdotally, I don't think it will affect our funding. I think, because I think we've done a very good job with this.
Yeah.
Work well.
If 100% of the counties have the same citation, it's gonna be hard to,
Exactly.
but
No, I agree with you. Did
see
we,
where it lands.
did meet with the builders for the new facility, kind of mapped out, I've known that we were doing interior designing. I would ask my wife with me to it, unfortunately. So that they kind of mapped out everything. We had some minor changes that needed to be made, such as flipping the lab and the med room around for easier functionality, adding in, a wash, a rinse, and a hand sink to the lab, certain little things here and there. And so once I get a finalized copy of the breakdown, the designs, I'll have it out to everybody. But yeah, we're going with, I think, grays, blues, and off whites. So that'll be the new design features. So
You contributed a lot to that.
I did. They tell me that the patient waiting room will have an ingress, recessed.
They told us we could paint our own mural.
They did say we can paint a mural outside of the health department. In the walkway. If anybody has an artistic side, can't paint a straight line to save a soul. Yeah, so I was like, cool, or awesome. We are also speaking of some upcoming events, like Dr. Reedy said, I have the health fair physical event beginning in June. Monday and Tuesday, first Monday and Tuesday of June, that we will be providing vaccines for those who register. Just they have to register for them. During the physicals there at the local, two of the local high schools. And also, we are partnering up with emergency management and the LEPC for the health fair, or the Jefferson County Fair, so we don't have to man it the whole time. So that was one of the big things. We're inside first and foremost. They are holding they have the spots, and then they have one sit table. We'll share a table certain days of the week. Whenever we can get out there with the car. So, and that's it on my end. Did I miss anything?
All right, appreciate the update. Right, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Already?
Pretty quick one.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Laura, get the second.
Dan already retired.